Hello guys, and welcome to this Volks Wizard video, which is episode 5 of Project Audi 80. Now firstly I'd like to apologise because it's been around 3 months since I last did an update on this car, and that's because the last one was at sort of middle of May, and then 2 weeks later lockdown lifted for car dealers, and I was very busy throughout June, and then I had 2 weeks off at the beginning of July, and here we are sort of 2 weeks later, and I'm finally been able to catch up on stuff like this. It's very low priority in the great scheme of things. But yeah, thanks for your patience. There's been quite a lot going on with this car though, not all of it necessarily very good. So last time I took it out, I did its longest drive, taking it home. I did at least probably about 50, 60, 70, 80 miles in it, and I wouldn't say it didn't miss a beat because it sort of got me home and back, but it never really felt that confidence inspiring. The original problem of the flat spotting was there ever so subtly, I think, and it didn't like to rev at the top end, which to me meant it was fuel starvation. Now I can't remember exactly what I did, but I went out on a test drive after that thinking that maybe I'd done something to fix that top end sort of weakness, and it started to splutter and eventually conked out. I actually conked out in a pub car park up the road where I used to take my photos when I started here 18 years ago, which was a bit weird. Anyway, I called a mechanic out and he was going to tow me back here. I said, look, you know, you're struggling to tow it, so let's just try some fuel, because I can't say I can trust the original fuel sender 100% because it's brand new, even though it came from Audi tradition in Ingolstadt. Well, lo and behold, I walked back to work, drove to get some fuel in the can, came back, put it in, the car started perfectly, well, pretty much perfectly. So what happened, it had run out of fuel, which meant it had sucked up a load of rubbish from the bottom of the tank, and with the fuel in it, it still wasn't very happy. It was still back to the original spluttering and farting that it did when I got it, but not as bad as obviously initially, because that wouldn't move. So I limped it back here and decided once and for all I was going to buy a brand new fuel injector, because they're very delicate things, and I'd fitted a second-hand one which had improved things no end, but it still wasn't perfect. So I figured, well, there's obviously a difference fitting the second-hand one, so if I fit a brand new one, maybe we'll have it perfect. And lo and behold, I did. I got that from KMS, who are a sort of VW, Audi, BMW parts place in Birmingham, and it was about £80, which I didn't think was too bad. Genuine Bosch, very easy to fit. I didn't bother filming it. I was so annoyed with the car actually that I just didn't think it was worth it. I just wanted to get it running, and then I think that was probably at some point in early June, and I haven't really done much with it since. But because it's running okay, I took it for a test drive not long ago, and it is the best it's ever run. I thought I'd do a list of things that needed doing. Now, something that came up from that test drive that strangely enough hadn't happened before was that the near side rear caliper was red hot. It was squeezed on. Even though the car will roll now, I don't trust it, so the least I can do is take it off, give it a clean and put it back on and see if it sticks again on the next test drive. If it does, it's going to need replacing. That might also explain why the black Audi logo was missing, almost like the heat had unstuck it. Well, this is a replacement, so we actually have 4 proper wheel caps now, thanks to eBay. So the one missing, the silver one, it's probably in here actually. Yeah, that one. That was the one that was on the near side rear. I got these off eBay. It's like 30 quid for the 4, and yeah, considering they're about 30 quid second hand usually, I was quite pleased with that. And it's a subtle thing, but now it looks externally correct. That silver, the black bit missing off that cap, had a bigger effect than you might think. So that's another thing that has been done in the intervening couple of months. Then I realised the radio had stopped working, so I put a fuse in it, and that seems to fix that. But then that made me realise the aerial didn't work, so I couldn't get stations. So that ties in with another ongoing problem with this car, in that at some point whilst I've had it, the aerial grommet completely disintegrated. It goes around here. Now, trying to get one of these is a bit of a joke. I ordered that, it looked fine on eBay, but it's twice as big as it should be, as I will demonstrate. Ta-da! Yeah, that's a bit thick. I think that's for, I don't know, cabriolets or something with the electric aerial. So I ordered another one from Audi A8 parts on eBay. I said, are you absolutely sure it's for 80 saloon? Yeah. Turned up, it was exactly the same as this one. It's gone back now, but I've still got this one spare from before. I looked at Audi Tradition, they seem to have the right one. It's like 3.7 euros, but it's like 30 quid postage, so I didn't do that. So after a bit of research, I came up with an idea. Well, thanks to these guys actually. I have paid for this. It's not a plug, but they're quite useful if you need an aerial for an older car. They said if you can't get the grommet, you can buy the whole aerial and you get the grommet with it. Somewhere. Come out and say hello. There you go. So in this bag are a couple of different grommets, and hopefully one of those two, probably that one because it's got a sloping mounting rather than a square mounting on that one, that's the right one. And the good news is as well, and they did I think say this in the advert, the Hirschmann, which is a good old German brand, probably made in China, made in Europe, not China, this is identical, like literally identical to the original aerial. So this is the original aerial. It's got a bit fallen off it on the end there. The Hirschmann is the same, so it's got the earth mounting point there, and the good news about that is that you don't have to change the cable because you get a really long cable to run to the front of the car. You can just connect it to the original one, which saves a lot of hassle. So I'll show you the Hirschmann in position. It slots into the bracket there, you don't have to fit a bracket. The original cable screwed onto it there. The earthing cable screws onto the original mounting. Just need to fit the grommet now to hold it in place, which we'll come to in a bit. What's on the list then? So yeah, the other thing is I've got a dent removal guy who I use, who I haven't seen him since before lockdown, but there's one on this car somewhere that needs doing, so that's just a bit of cosmetic prep that really is the last bit to do before the car will go on sale, hopefully in August. Now a couple of you noticed when I did driving videos of this car that the indicators weren't cancelling, so I thought, yeah, I'll put that on the list, that'll be straightforward. And no, it's not actually, because a little spring has popped out of the cancelling mechanism. So the way the cancelling mechanism works, it's very, very basic. I will surprise you now by doing this. With one hand, not very easy. Okay, two hands. There you go. So that little bit of plastic sticking out there flicks a tab, a spring-loaded tab, there, or there. But as you can see, the spring-loaded. Well, it's not really spring-loaded anymore because the spring has popped out. So luckily, anyway, you can buy this from Breakers for like 20 quid. So there's one of those on order. Go on, slot on. Okay, interior wise, things have come on pretty well. I don't know if you remember, this was all in bits, so bits missing. The centre console was wrong, it had bits cut out of it. So I modified this so I could get rid of the gauges and put the correct ashtray, which I finally got. It's wired up as well for 12 volts, that is. And then I got a new centre console because something had been drilled in this. It wasn't the original one fitted to the car anyway, because that had been fitted to enable the gauges, which had never been connected, and they're a nightmare to connect. What I didn't notice was that we already had a cigarette lighter here in this, so ordering another centre console with a cigarette lighter wasn't exactly the right thing to do, but I've been able to take the wiring from there to here, and we can just use this as a USB now. So in an Audi 80 from 1992, you can charge your smartphone. I think that's pretty cool. Basic, but cool. What else have we got? Not a lot. So we've got radio now. I think
Start, but I think, you know, if we could get everybody,
it's tuned to Radio 4,
probably the easiest thing that there was,
which is probably a bit more Audi 80 than Radio 1. Let's go back to Radio 4.
So I can't understand why extra care.
So that's good. So we've got radio, we've got a USB charging. We're soon to have an indicator that turns off. We're soon to be finished, all being well. What we need to do now then is just see if that grommet that's supplied will finally rectify this issue that's bugged me for a very long time now. I can't tell you how frustrating it is to get parts for older cars. Right, let's put this down here. Probably a bad idea. Okay, so open the bag. So that's the slotted one, or the diagonal one. That's for a more, actually, Which one do we think it will be? I think it's probably the steeper angle because it's quite steep. Yeah, so let's have a look. So we have to match the angle of the grommet to the quarter panel, and I believe, don't tell me I have to take the cap off. No, we're through. I believe that's ours. Yes, look at that. Lovely. Okay, it's probably going to take me 2 hands to do that, so holding the camera isn't ideal. But anyway guys, I hope you've enjoyed this Volkswizard video where I've rambled on about what I've done and what I'm going to do to Project Audi 80. If you've enjoyed it, as ever, give it a thumbs up, please comment, please share, please subscribe, and come back for the next video, which hopefully will be the car pretty much done and ready to go, and then we can go for an even longer drive than we did before.